Morning. Big drama on the channel yesterday. Oh yeah, being an influencer isn't easy, you know. Yesterday I embarrassed myself by referring to this as a beanie hat, and in fact it's a bucket hat. And I've actually had my I haven't had my Manc card rescinded. However, I'm not allowed Vimto or to put gravy on my chips for the next couple of days. Which I think is a bit harsh, but I'm out of both, so anyway, you know, whatever. Yeah, do you know what? If I'd been a big social media channel, right, an influencer, I think the response would have been something like, you know, Chef Fisher hates bucket hats, shocker. And then somebody would have gone, no, he doesn't. He likes beanie hats, but he also likes bucket hats, and he was just mistaken. And then I'd have to have an official statement to say that I feel equally well disposed to both bucket hats and beanie hats, and was not expressing any preference regarding the both. And I apologise if mistakes were made and any offence was given to either the beanie or the bucket hat community. And then it would have kicked off. You know, what does he really mean? What he really means, I think what Fisher means, is that he hates hats and all hats matter. And then someone would come back and say, hats are woke, all of them. And then someone would go, no, beanie hats are woke. And, you know, and that's how it goes. Anyway, I'm going to talk about social media today, but the good bit of it, the really, really, very, very good bit about it. So today we're at about 1 o'clock on the lake, a bit further around than we were yesterday, and it's gorgeous as usual, very calm, and it's just after dawn, so it should be more colourful. So yeah, I mentioned in the intro, you know, something bad about the internet, but here's something amazing about it. Because of Facebook, I got to thank two people who I thought I wasn't possible to ever meet again in my life for things that they did for me. And this was when I was young. And, you know, lost contact with them. That happens, you know, especially when you don't live in England for 20 odd years. So they're both nurses and they're both men. But meeting them changed everything for me. When I was about 19 or 20, couldn't find any work, had to keep myself occupied, and I volunteered at a place called the Willows, a place called Droylsden, and it was a house with a big garden, and it was a respite home for kids with learning difficulties, kind of give their parents a break. This was deemed, you know, wrong a few years later, that we shouldn't be doing things like that. But we didn't know that at the time. And one of the people who overlooked the running of the place was a male psychiatric nurse, a community psychiatric nurse called Glyn Goodchild, who used to call in occasionally. And he was a really nice bloke. And I'd ended up going to the Willows almost every day. I was like a full-time member of staff, you know, and because I loved it. I loved, you know, entertaining the kids and hanging out with them and taking care of them. And Glyn had seen me pick up a kid who was known to have challenging behaviours. You know, he'd punch you every now and punch people and stuff like that. And he'd saw me pick him up and throw him up in the air and catch him. And the kid was laughing. And Glyn said to me, you've got a bit of a gift for this. You know, you should do your nurse training. And I went, oh, there's no chance of that, mate. At the school at Easter, I was a dummy. You know, and he said, okay, well, you'd need 5 O-levels. I said, yeah, I just can't, you know. And he said, well, let me see if I can help. And what he did was he went to see the director of nursing at Tameside Hospital, a guy called Tom Fisher, no relationship. And they called me in. I thought I was in trouble. I thought, I'm only a volunteer, what could I have done wrong? And I went to meet them both at this big office at the hospital. And Tom Fisher said, look, we really want you to do your nurse training. We know you need the O-levels, so I've spoken to Tameside College. They'll let you join the course a bit late. I think it was like a month into the term, into the first term. He said, and I'm going to give you a job to fit in with your college hours, but you have to come and work at the hospital on the care of the elderly unit after college, which was just down the road from the hospital, and the weekends, and I'll give you as much overtime as you ask for, and you know, and that'll see you all right for money. And so I did, and I did 5 O-levels in a year, and I got them all. But when I went to work on the care of the elderly unit, I worked with the other guy who made this massive difference to me. He was called Cyril Murray from Northern Ireland, and he was the charge nurse, but he on the ward I worked on. But more than that, he was he was one of the first to be a joint appointee. So he was a qualified nurse tutor, teacher of nurses, but he also ran a ward. So he had all the chops. All the chops, like academically, and all the chops in terms of, you know, being there, doing it at the coalface or at the patient face. And he was brilliant. He was one of the most caring people. And for me, who was going to go and do my training, it was an absolute joy, a gift, because he allowed me to participate in some of the procedures, supervised, obviously, that I would come across during my nurse training. You know, neither of those guys needed to do that. Neither of those guys needed to notice me. I was a volunteer. But they did. They saw something in me that I didn't or couldn't, and nobody else did. And that's what set me off on the rest of my amazing life, full of adventure and travel and the brilliant things that I've done and the amazing people that I've met. But that random decision on an afternoon at the Willows in Troylston by Glyn Goodchild, and then the opportunity that Tom Fisher improvised, so I guess he's in there as well, although I didn't get to know him. And then the nurturing and encouragement and confidence that Cyril Murray had in me. That was it. That was the launch pad. I took off from there. And yeah, sure, I worked hard, all of that, you know, met other great people along the way. But without those two, none of this would have happened. And that is amazing. And eventually I came across them on Facebook and I got to thank them. And do you know, they're such humble and nice blokes. If they see this, they're probably going to be like humbled by this. I don't care. They did something amazing for me, and I've tried to pay it back ever since in every way that I can. My whole career was about that, and yeah, they have my undying gratitude. And because of social media, I got to thank them. I got to find them and make a point of saying, you did this for me, here's what I did with it, and I can't thank you enough. So yeah, that's it for today. Social media, a good thing most of the time. Alright, see ya.
Yeah.